All right, welcome back. Now, back in May, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics revealed that 30.5% of Kenyan households were unable to pay rent. It was the ripple effect of strained finances of most Kenyans hit hard by the pandemic. All changes in the rental market saw tenants downsize or leave the city altogether, while in some cases, landlords offered reprieve by lowering rents. Now, 6 months on, how are Kenyans faring? Joining me now are Mary Mulwa, CEO of NW Realite, who deals primarily in commercial properties. She'll be the voice of the landlords and property managers in tonight's discussion. Okay, Mary, let me bring you in because you run a company that are basically property managers for commercial properties. What has this season been like for your clients?
Victoria, thank you for having me on. We have had quite a challenge from the time people are told to stay at home. Our occupancy, physical occupancy, went down to about 10%. The people are coming into the buildings, and as a result, a lot of companies had to close for a period of time before they came back on. A lot of staff had to go on half pay, some were laid off. But now the situation is normalizing slowly. But what happened is that as a result of people staying at home and not being able to do business, and the disruption was very sudden, a lot of the tenants were not able now to raise the rents as they were normally raising. And also putting into perspective that we were already coming from a depressed market condition, a lot of people were already having challenges because last year was a year that was also a bit down. And then now we come into COVID. So we've had to face a situation of a lot of tenants asking for rent waivers, rent rebates, and rent holidays. And we've had to just navigate and negotiate and also advise on what should happen. So some of the tenants have had to get waivers. Some of the tenants have gotten rebates and some have gotten holidays. What that means is that some have gotten forgiveness of rent, some have gotten a percentage forgiveness of rent, those are the rebates,
right.
And some have been allowed to pay slowly as opposed to their quarterly or monthly payments. Those are the holidays.
Okay, absolutely. Mary, you know, the conversation oftentimes when we look at rent, the focus is on the tenants and the burden that they bear if they can't pay. But oftentimes we forget that landlords and property managers have expenses, they have obligations. During this time, what have you had to incur? What are some of the challenges in that area?
Victoria, what you will notice, some of the property expenses do not go away just because there is a challenge. A landlord had a mortgage. What we had to do is to probably talk to the banks and try and restructure. But we were only given about 3 months, and then we had to start making the payments. So these are recurrent expenditures that the landlords had not foreseen were going to be interrupted. We came into a situation also, and then we had to start sanitizing the buildings. We had to start doing more cleaning. So we had to get more detergent, we had to get more disinfectants, we had to get more cleaners. We had to provide sanitizers for all the people in the workspaces, to provide masks for people working in the buildings. And all these are going into the service charge expenses that were not budgeted for earlier on in the year. And you will have to also provide hand wash stations, and you have to fog the buildings, you have to provide the thermogans. All these things are things that we are even coming to learn as we navigate and as we get the Ministry of Health guidelines, so that we can comply and also so that our tenants can feel safe and all the occupants of the building. So what you will notice that some of these expenses are actually going up as the incomes are going down.
Right. I mean, and you mentioned some of the measures you have to take in terms of trying to stay afloat even having to take a loan or ask for some concessions from the bank. And let me get you, Mary, in terms of the future of the rental market post-COVID-19, we were seeing several corporates telling their people you can work at home. And so the question arises, do you need to rent office space anymore since people can work remotely? Do you think this will affect commercial properties moving forward?
I think at some level the train has left the station. The work from home culture will last for some people, but I don't think that the bigger corporates will be adapting to that as fast as we would, probably also not the government circles, because we've also encountered people having challenges providing the gadgets required to have these connections, providing the systems, providing internet, because the coverage was not as good. But we are already having conversations that houses should be built with a work area so that you're not having a Zoom meeting and children are crying in the background. So I think at some level, the work from home culture is going to be here to stay. But I also do not think that we'll be able to make that shift so suddenly because a lot of people, as it were right now, have already started coming back to the offices, and there is a conversation on how to accommodate the people and to have social distancing in the office. However, in as far as possible, digitization is already starting to take place. So I would expect that in the future, probably in about 3-5 years, we will have more and more people opting to work from home or work from the satellite areas nearer home, because we've also learned that you actually do not necessarily need an office in Nairobi town. So people may opt to work nearer where they live so that they also do not have to grapple with issues, traffic.
Right.
And because of connectivity also, we've also learned that you can actually do business without necessarily having meetings as we were used to, because right now we are able to transact like we are already having this conversation without having to physically interact.
Right. Ken, Mary, Philip, thank you so much for your time. And of course, it's a conversation that we'll keep having as long as this pandemic persists. Thank you so much for watching. That does it for Citizen Weekend. I'm Victoria Rubadiri. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Wilson Mushora. Stay tuned, though. One Love coming up next.